The worst pain I ever felt did not come from a lie. It came from laughter. Not the happy kind. Not the laughter that fills a home with warmth. It was the kind that cuts deeper than a knife because it tells you that your feelings are nothing more than a joke. My name is George, and until that night, I believed love could survive anything if two people cared enough. I was wrong. Lydia smiled at everyone. She could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with 10 new friends before the night ended. That was one of the first things I loved about her. She had this light that pulled people toward her. I was different. I never needed a crowd. I only needed one person to truly understand me. Her. We met 2 years earlier in Chicago during a charity event. I spilled coffee on my own shirt before introducing myself. She laughed, handed me a napkin and said, "Good, now I know you're human." That simple sentence started everything. We spent weekends driving through quiet American towns, eating at old diners and watching sunsets from empty beaches. She always reached for my hand first. "You make me feel safe," she used to whisper. I believed every word. As time passed, her circle of friends grew larger. Every weekend became another birthday party, another rooftop gathering, another dinner with people whose names I could barely remember. I tried. I really did. I listened to their stories. I remembered birthdays. I helped carry furniture when they moved. I stayed late cleaning after parties. Not because I loved those people, because I loved Lydia. One Friday evening, she invited me to another gathering at her best friend Emily's apartment. Music echoed through the rooms. Everyone laughed. Wine glasses clinked together. Lydia stood in the center like she belonged there. I stood beside the wall holding 2 drinks, waiting for a moment alone with her. When she finally walked over, I smiled. "Can we leave a little early tonight?" I asked softly. She looked surprised. "Why?" "I've barely talked to you all week." Before she answered, Emily and 2 other friends walked over. "What are you two whispering about?" Emily teased. I smiled politely. "Nothing important." Lydia rolled her eyes dramatically.
"Oh my God."
She laughed. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "George is upset because I spend too much time with my friends." The room became quiet. Someone chuckled. Another laughed louder. Then Lydia looked directly at me. "You always need me so close. You're like a lost puppy." More laughter. I felt every eye staring at me. Heat rushed into my face. I wasn't embarrassed because strangers laughed. I was embarrassed because the woman I loved started it. I looked at her for several seconds. She expected me to defend myself, to argue, to make everyone uncomfortable. Instead, I smiled. It wasn't forced. It was peaceful. "Don't worry," I said quietly. "I'll never ask again." The laughter slowly faded. Lydia shrugged like it meant nothing. But inside me, something had quietly broken, and broken things never return the same. I walked out onto the apartment balcony alone, staring at the city lights. Behind me, the music started again and everyone went back to having fun. No one noticed that my silence was not surrender. It was the beginning of goodbye. The next morning, Lydia acted as if nothing had happened. She kissed my cheek while making coffee. "You were quiet last night." I smiled. I was just tired. She nodded and moved on. That was the first time I realized something painful. She hadn't forgotten what she did. She simply didn't think it mattered. From that day forward, I kept my promise. I never asked for more time. I never interrupted her nights out. I never questioned another party. If she said she was busy, I wished her a good evening. She looked happier than ever. She thought she had finally trained me to stop asking. What she didn't know was that I had stopped asking because I had stopped expecting. Love without hope becomes habit, and habits eventually end. Instead of waiting for her, I rebuilt my own life. I joined a photography club. I started hiking on weekends. I reconnected with my brother in Colorado after years apart. I accepted a promotion at work that required more travel. For the first time in years, my calendar was full. Not because I wanted to make Lydia jealous, because I finally remembered I existed without her. Then something unexpected happened. People noticed. Friends I hadn't spoken to in months invited me out. Co-workers respected my confidence. Even strangers smiled more often. The emptiness Lydia left slowly filled with peace. One Friday evening, she came home earlier than usual. "You've been busy lately." "I have." You didn't even ask where I was. I trusted your choices. She looked confused. That answer wasn't what she wanted. Weeks later, Emily called me privately. I owe you an apology. For what? We laughed that night. I stayed silent. Emily sighed. I didn't realize how cruel it sounded until Lydia started complaining that you've become distant. I thanked her and ended the call. Some apologies arrived too late. Then came the final twist. Lydia planned a huge birthday party. She expected me to organize everything like I always have. Instead, I handed her a small envelope. She smiled. A surprise. In a way, inside was a simple letter. It read, "You once laughed because I wanted to be close to the woman I loved. I kept my promise. I never asked again." Somewhere along the way, I realized I deserved to be with someone who never makes love feel embarrassing. I hope one day you understand the difference between needing control and being truly loved. I wish you happiness. Goodbye. When she finished reading, the room became silent. George! Her voice cracked. You can't leave over one joke. I looked into her eyes. No, I left because it showed me how little my heart meant to you. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time since we met, she reached for my hand. I stepped back. Not with anger, not with revenge, with peace. Sometimes the strongest revenge is refusing to stay where your love is treated like entertainment. I walked out of that apartment carrying only one suitcase, but I left behind years of disappointment. As I stepped into the bright American morning, I finally understood something that heartbreak had spent years trying to teach me. The right person will never laugh at your need to feel loved, and the day you stop begging for kindness is the day your real life begins.